So today I will analyze Mexico's position between the United States through the case of Chinese electric vehicles. I chose this case because it clearly shows that trade is no longer just about exchanging goods. And it has become a geopolitical instrument. Mexico is caught between two major forces. On one side, China is a source of investment and industrial expansion, obviously manufacturing capacity. And on the other is the United States as the market that Mexico depends on the most. This is not simply a business issue, it's a strategic one. To understand this case, we first need to understand Mexico's position in the global economy. Mexico is deeply integrated into North American supply chains, especially in sectors like automotive, manufacturing, electronics, and industrial production. That gives the country an important strategic advantage, particularly in the context of nearshoring. But at the same time, the advantage also creates dependence. The United States is not just another trade partner for Mexico, it is the central market around which much of the Mexican economy is organized. China, by contrast, represents opportunity through industrial investment, low cost production, and possibility of expanding Mexico manufacturing base. And the case itself becomes more visible when Mexico reportedly stepped back from supporting Chinese EV investment. This was important because Chinese automakers had been exploring Mexico as a platform for production and expansion. From a business perspective, this could have meant jobs, platform infrastructure, and industrial growth. But from the US perspective, the concern was that Chinese firms might use Mexico as an indirect route into North America. Officials made it clear that the USMCA should not become a backdoor to China. And later, Mexico also expanded tariffs for many imports from countries which it does not have free trade agreements, including China. That shows that the issue had moved beyond simple trade policy and had become part of a larger strategic conflict over who gets the shape regional production. And this is why the case can be understood through the logic of economic warfare. The United States uses tariffs, treaty pressure, and market access as tools of influence. And Mexico responds with selective tariffs, customs control, and more cautious approach toward foreign investment and sensitive sectors. China, meanwhile, relies on industrial scale, lower cost, and outward investment to expand its influence. So instead to open military confrontation, what we see is competition through economic instruments, tariffs, supply chains, and trade agreements. My interpretation is that Mexico still has some agency, but in this case, the agency is limited. I would describe Mexico as a contained power that is acting closer to strategic submission than to full strategic autonomy. Mexico is not completely passive because it is still making choices and trying to defend its interests. However, these choices are clearly shaped by its dependence to the United States. Instead of balancing equally between Washington and Beijing, Mexico is prioritizing uh, continued access to the US market and stability of North American integration. In that sense, geography gives Mexico leverage, but depends on prevents that leverage from becoming full strategic freedom. For business, the implications are very significant. On the positive side, the conflict creates auto parts and manufacturing. Mexico can benefit its production. continues shifting closer to the United States, but there are also important risks. Firms might face stricter rules of origin. Mexico may gain from relocation, but in the long term, the real challenge is whether the country will strengthen its own industrial capacity or remain mainly an assembly platform shaped outside by the powers. Mexico is not outside the conflict, it is inside the battlefield of trade. In this case, its geography gives the importance, but its dependence on the United States turns that importance into a constrained form of power. Thank you very much.